This Civic Media podcast is sponsored by UW Organ and Tissue Donation. Organ donations are desperately needed, and now is the right time to become an organ donor. Talk to your family. Get the dot. Save lives. Go to heroicdeed.com.
This is your WMDX Daily News Roundup for Mad Radio 92.7 FM and 1580 AM in Madison.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Wisconsin will now have an Office of Violence Prevention. Governor Tony Evers signed an executive order about a month after the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School. Gun violence is the number one cause of death for American kids. It's been that way for 5 years now, and they're at higher risk here in Wisconsin. From 2014 to 2023, the gun death rate increased 34% in the U.S., but here it rose 54%.
As a father, grandfather, and governor, it's unthinkable that a kid and a teacher woke up, went to school that morning, never come back.
The office will work with local governments, law enforcement, nonprofits, school districts, even gun dealers to do what Evers called connecting the dots for a big picture approach to gun violence. Madison has shifted its own strategy through a partnership between police and the health department. Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway.
In 2024, our violence prevention team served over 100 people, including folks that engaged in violence, victims of violence, and people who were impacted by violence happening around them. Violence is contagious, and if you can contain it by supporting the folks that are touched, we have a chance to reduce violence in our communities.
The office will start with $10 million. That money will come from leftover funds from the American Rescue Plan Act. A big chunk of that will go into grants for local communities doing the work to keep people safer. Then Evers will include ongoing funding for the office in the state budget. He also says he'll include what he calls his most robust gun reform proposals. He says he'll lay those out later with the budget. But of course, anything in the budget will need agreement from Republican lawmakers who control the legislature. And so far, they haven't supported any of Evers' gun safety proposals. When you go to vote in the spring election, you'll adhere to Wisconsin's voter ID law. You'll also vote on the law itself. You'll also vote on whether the law should be added to the state constitution. Republican lawmakers passed a measure to add the voter ID law to the ballot. That leaves it up to Wisconsinites. Republicans claim it reduces voter fraud. Representative Dave Maxey of New Berlin says it, quote, helps maintain public confidence in our electoral outcomes, reinforcing the principle of one vote, one person, end quote. Experts and advocates say the voter ID law disproportionately affects people of color and those with economic disadvantages because they're less likely to have a state ID. Jay Heck, Executive Director of Common Cause Wisconsin.
All it does is it reduces the opportunity for certain segments of the population to be able to vote. It doesn't do anything about preventing fraud, and it's just a voter suppression method.
The conservative group Heritage Foundation has only found 68 cases of voter fraud over the last 40 years in Wisconsin. Now let's talk about constitutional amendments. State Republicans have been using this strategy more often lately. When something is just a law, the Wisconsin Supreme Court has the power to overturn it. But if it's part of the state constitution, repealing an amendment is a whole lot harder. Meanwhile, Governor Tony Evers is asking the legislature to allow Wisconsinites to add measures to the ballot as well. He says Republicans are choosing their priorities instead of allowing voters to decide on issues like abortion and gun laws. It's one of the biggest issues facing our area. Dane County is now getting $7 million in federal funding for more affordable housing. County staff will be able to use that money to build 47 affordable homes. Part of the goal will be to work with developers of color. They'll also take additional looks at zoning and building codes. Good news in the aftermath of the Abundant Life Christian School shooting. The 2 victims still in the hospital have now been upgraded to good condition. They're both students. The day of the shooting, When they were first brought to the hospital the day of the shooting, they were in critical condition. And around Christmas, they were deemed to be in fair condition. So this is another good step forward. Now, this may be our last update on them for a while or ever, at least when it comes to updates from UW Health. Staff said as students continue their recovery, now that they're in a good place, they'll put patient privacy first. Meanwhile, a big number will be added to the Abundant Life Recovery Fund. 80 Culver's locations across Wisconsin donated a portion of their profits from January 6th. We were hungry. Of course, it's a great cause, so I went that night. It was swamped. Drive-through line all the way around the restaurant. And it sounds like just about every location was like that, filled with people who wanted to contribute to the fundraiser. And the staff were so busy. They were so kind. They were getting it done. Well, all of those Culver's locations together raised a total of $165,000. Now, previously, the fundraising account had at least $250,000. So now we may have a total of $415,000, $425,000, something in that ballpark. Plus, we're still waiting on totals from Texas Roadhouse. They did their fundraiser last Thursday. At least 1,000 people ate there that night. Both Madison locations donated 100% of their profits. And there's another one next week. Noodles locations across Madison are hosting a fundraiser of their own. Next Thursday night, they'll donate 25% of sales to the ALCS Recovery Fund. 5 restaurants are participating. That's Madison East, Madison West, Fitchburg, Monona, and Sun Prairie. That's next Thursday, January 23rd. Don't worry, I'll remind you as we get closer. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
The Bucks clobber the Kings. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. NBA, the Bucks jumped out to an early lead and beat the Kings 130-115. Giannis with his 50th career triple-double. Milwaukee with a 21-2 run in the first quarter. Doc Rivers.
We came out, played the right way, ball moved. I think 7 or 8 guys had over 9 attempts. 45 threes. That just tells you the ball's moving. I thought defensively matched the offensive effort. And when we do that, we're pretty good.
College hoops, Greg Gard gets his 200th career win as Wisconsin held on to win 70-68 over Ohio State at the Kohl Center. David Joplin with 30 points as Marquette gets past DePaul in overtime, 85-83. NFL, Matt LaFleur on what does Jordan Love need to improve in year 3 as the Packers quarterback.
I think the next step is just to continue to evolve as a vocal leader. I think that just kind of comes with the position naturally, and I think he's taken steps to get there, but I think he can really demand a lot because the locker room, they respect him, not only as a person, but by the work he puts in. I mean, he's a grinder. I think that's one of his best qualities is he is one of the guys.
That's Packers head coach Matt LaFleur. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
On your entertainment beat, I'm Pete Schwaba. Doors lead singer Jim Morrison was found dead in a bathtub in 1971. Some believe he faked his own death. A new docuseries, Before the End, Searching for Jim Morrison, takes a closer look at the rock star who was only 27 when he fled to Paris, supposedly to get away from fame. Director Jeff Finn features Morrison's brother Andy and his sister Ann, as well as archival footage as he dives deep into the singer's life and death. The 3-episode documentary can be streamed on Apple TV for $7.99. Stop the presses. Robert De Niro will be playing a gangster in a new mob film. If that's not fun enough, De Niro's rival gangster in said mob film will be played by Robert De Niro. The film Alto Nights will tell the story of a 1950s dispute between legendary New York gangsters Frank Costello and Vito Genovese, who were once best friends but became adversaries. The film will be directed by Barry Levinson. How great would it be if De Niro received an Oscar and a Razzie for the same movie? If you're looking for suggestions on how to get back at people who cheat on you, you might want to check out The Drew Barrymore Show. On one episode last year, Barrymore talked about how she spray painted and vandalized an ex's car who had cheated on her. Earlier this week, Barrymore told a guest she once made an ex-boyfriend who cheated on her watch her have drinks with the mistress before breaking up with him. If you do cheat on Drew Barrymore, don't get caught. Here's a Schwab-amendation for you action movie fans. Somehow the film The Old Guard flew under my radar, but I watched it over the weekend and really liked it. Charlize Theron stars in the film that was released in 2020 as her character leads a group of warriors who have been alive for centuries and fight those who try to prevent the progress of humankind. Their mission of staying anonymous is blown when a greedy scientist tries to capture them for their DNA. The film is a bit violent, but has great action and fight scenes and is full of surprise moments. 7-time Super Bowl champ and one-time husband Tom Brady has come under fire all year long for his on-air gaffes while providing color commentary during NFL games. During last week's game between the Packers and Eagles, Brady accidentally referred to the Eagles as the Phillies, then later in the broadcast referred to Packers running back Josh Jacobs as Brandon Jacobs. This comes on the heels of Brady forgetting the name of one of the teams that beat the Packers during a recent telecast. In addition to Brady misspeaking, when his broadcast partner talks to him, he often nods his head so much a viewer could get vertigo. Yeah, he's not that great, but people on social media are losing their minds over his missteps. Word to the wise, if it's brilliant elocution you're looking for, don't try to find it on an NFL pregame broadcast from the guy who took shots to the head well into his middle age. For more showbiz fun, tune into Nightlight with me, Pete Schwaba, weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Sunny this morning, becoming mostly cloudy and breezy by later this afternoon. It will be warmer today with a high of 21. Tonight, 17. Tomorrow, breezy, cloudy in the morning, a little sunshine in the afternoon, 35. We will get to 41 on Friday. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable.
Currently, it's 5 above.
That's your WMDX Daily News Roundup from Civic Media. Subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you find your podcasts. Find more news at mad.radio. The national news cycle never stops, but it can be hard to find news about your local community. Civic Media is dedicated to providing quality local and state news coverage across Wisconsin. With the Civic Media app, you can get notifications about local stories that matter to you and your community. Find the free Civic Media app in your phone's app store and choose notifications from the menu to tell us what kind of news you want to hear about.